Welcome guys! Today I want to talk to you about video settings of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and how you can tweak them for max competitiveness. And the way you can do that is by finding the optimal settings to visually detect enemies. This means detecting anything that is out of place and even the slightest movement. Now landing here, I have my settings on Ultra, and you really notice that a lot is going on with the details compared to lower settings. There's so much information for the eye, and that is why it will be significantly harder to detect where enemies are dropping down compared to lower settings. Before we get started, it's needless to say that the more FPS you have plus a 144Hz monitor is absolutely key to FPS games. So if you don't have a high Hertz monitor, I really suggest getting one, as it is a world of difference. Let me demonstrate the different settings. Notice how the amount of details and thereby information for the eye is gradually decreasing as I lower the level of detail. Especially the large rock here to the right. Imagine a guy standing in front of that. The higher quality of texture and detail on that rock, the harder it is to distinguish it from the player standing in front of it. With low detail, the rock is almost entirely flat and smooth, and the player is very easily detected. The other benefit to lowering details is that it will increase your FPS. The more FPS you have, the better. The downside, of course, is that you get an uglier image quality, so you might want to consider finding something in between. Going closer to this large rock here, I'll demonstrate how the player model will stand out far more easily with low texture detail compared to Ultra. As you can see, there's a huge difference. The higher detail level almost works as a camouflage. Running around a bit with Ultra settings, I want you to notice how much information there is for the eye to process. And here on very low settings, there's almost nothing going on, so it's not hard to imagine that players will be easier to detect. There are, however, some settings that you can't compromise on, and these are anti-aliasing, screen scale, and view distance. Anti-aliasing is uncompromisable because it will smoothen rough and pixelated edges. This is important because with higher anti-aliasing, the image will overall be calmer and movement will thereby be much more easily detected. View distance is also a setting I would never compromise, as the further you can see, it's easier to navigate in the game. I'm not really sure that player models are affected by view distance though. All in all, you don't want random models, trees, bushes and stuff to drop in suddenly, as it will just trigger your eye into thinking you saw movement and thereby lower your ability to detect the actual player movement that you're trying to find. The last setting I want to talk about is screen scale. Screen scale is a setting that will blur the image on low settings and sharpen the image at high settings. This should always be at 120 as you want maximum sharpness. Here you can see screen scale at the lowest value setting. The image is blurred and it will be very difficult to detect enemies. And here you can see screen scale at the highest value setting, and I think it's quite obvious that enemies will stand out much more at this setting. Now that's all I had to say about competitive video settings. So to sum up, keep your settings at the lowest setting you can tolerate, but always keep anti-aliasing, view distance and screen scale at the highest possible setting. And if you like this guide and want more like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to be updated with future content. And I'll see you next time.